This is a great activity that utilises some amazing graphic cards. Now, I bought these ones from a graphic recording studio, Jessa McGee, Think in Colour. If you haven't met her, she does some amazing things in the graphic recording space. But I wanted to show you how we utilise these cards in a whole range of ways. These are really great when you're working with a team to try and unpack a journey. Perhaps you're working with some students and maybe English isn't their first language, or they're feeling a little bit uncomfortable utilising some of those words. What's really great about these cards is it lets everybody into the journey, and so that they can start to make meaning themselves. Some ways that we've used this in the past. Working with our friends in the Northern Territory Learning Commission, every year we ask them to reflect on the journey that the year before took as they were going through their project and their process. We then give them these cards and we ask them to sketch that out. We look for the points that were really positive and the points that were really painful, so that we can design those further in or out for the next year's journey. We then can do some really great future casting, thinking if everything was going right, what might it look like if we were to go from A to B? What are the sorts of positive, negative emotions we might run into? What are some of the actions we would take to get to a desired outcome? So let me show you what I mean by this. So here's an example of this amazing stack of visual image cards. As you can see, all they are just cardboard, and they're printed out with stick figures. All sorts of actions or icons are here as well. Something else that we have are different sorts of emotions, different sorts of actions that people might take, and they're nicely color coded. You can actually draw these up or create your own set as well, and I know that there are some that are freely available out there, but these are some of my favorites. I really love these. So I like to work on a nice big table. I like to spread all of these cards out, but what I've done is actually select a few for us. So the way that I might start this, if I can use that example in the Northern Territory again, if we were looking at what our journey looks like, sounds like, and feels like. Okay, so here are some cards that I have started off with. What I might start to put out is to say, look, what we had is a little bit of an idea to start off with. I might look at the next step and say, we all thought that it was quite a brilliant idea, and in fact we started sort of sprinting ahead thinking, yep, this is going to be exactly the idea that we're going to go ahead with. What then tended to happen in last year's journey is that we got caught up a little bit in all sorts of messy parts. In fact, we were pulled in some different directions, and some big things happened where we actually all couldn't get together. Very quickly, we started going downhill, and it was really hard because we were actually pulling parts of the team along. A lot of us were feeling as if we were drowning. You can see here that I might cluster these cards together. So we might stop here and have a look and say, well, what would happen next? Or how might you display what happened at this real tipping point? So what we might ask teams to do is put that first step of the journey aside and then say, okay, so at this point we were weighing up, are we going to start? Are we going to stop? Are we going to go into a different sort of way of working? People were actually feeling really tied up here. So what we decided was, let's just take it one step at a time. We started to think about all of the different things at play, and in fact, all of the different things that our teams were really good at. We decided that we would shift roles and that we would have somebody that was really steering the ship, so to speak, steering the project, which really unlocked our ideas here. It meant that we fell back in love with the work that we were doing, and ultimately, we were absolutely carrying the right idea forward. Now, what this lets us do is put a nice little image up. What I would then go ahead and do is ask people to think about the different stages of all of these different cards and all of the different journey. And we would start to think about what are the things that we could do differently and what are the things that we could do the same. So that's just one of the ways that we could use image cards. We might take anywhere from 20 minutes up to 3 or 4 hours to really unpack this, depending on where the teams were at and what they needed in terms of really getting clarity. It can be great to use for executive teams, fantastic to use with students and young people as well. And of course, it allows people in from all different experiences, all different literacies, and all different levels of confidence in the innovation and strategy space as well. If you need more information on these cards, please feel free to get in touch with us. This is a really, really nice one, nice and colourful, nice and tangible, nice and hands-on. It's one of our favourite things to do at Eventful.